It's been 2 years since Uganda passed one of the world's harshest anti-gay laws, and Human Rights Watch is now reporting that since it came into force, authorities in the country have committed widespread discrimination and violence against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. The 69-page long report also accuses the government of deliberately trying to negatively shape public discourse about LGBTQ people in Uganda in the lead up to the Anti-Homosexuality Act being signed into law in 2023. We're joined now by Oryem Nyeko, who is a senior Africa researcher at Human Rights Watch. Oryem, thank you so much for joining us on the program. So, of course, we know that being gay in Uganda was already very difficult before this law came into force. Tell us what it's like to be gay or transgender now.
Yeah, so historically, same-sex acts have been criminalized in Uganda for many years. It's been the result of legislation that was passed by the British colonial powers. But what has happened since is that the Ugandan government has basically entrenched homophobia. They've legitimized it by passing this law in 2023. And they've basically made it such that people living in Uganda who may identify as LGBT or not live in fear of criminal persecution, but also of their communities attacking them because they think they may or may not be gay. So it's really just a climate of fear that people are living in Uganda.
And this report accuses authorities of using social media and dating apps, for example, to target LGBTQ people. Tell us more about that.
So basically, what we found when we talked to people in Uganda was that they are being they've met people online who they think may potentially be people that they want to talk to or explore relationships with, but turn out to be police officers in some cases who are trying to extort them, who end up actually extorting them at the threat of arresting them because of this law that criminalizes homosexuality. They tell them that, oh, we will take you to the police station if you don't give us a certain amount of money. And it's really the result of the law. So the law doesn't make it legal for people to be extorted, but because there's a law that says that if you're gay, you could be criminalized, a lot of people, including government officials, police officers, feel that they can get away with committing those kinds of acts against LGBT people.
And let's talk more about this law because, like I said, it's one of the harshest anti-gay laws in the world. Tell us what it really calls for exactly.
So the first crime that it creates is the crime of homosexuality. It is literally an offense to commit homosexuality, which basically is same-sex acts. If a man has sex with a man or a woman has sex with a woman. But then there's also other sub-crimes. There's if you have sex with somebody with a disability, for example, of the same sex, or somebody who is of advanced age. Some of those offenses now, in addition to a jail sentence, could actually land you a death sentence, which is what makes the law really, really terrible. Nobody should be sentenced to death because of a consensual same-sex act. But there's also other really vague and very problematic provisions, one of which is this notion of promoting homosexuality. And this is where people who are LGBT allies, people who work with NGOs that provide services to LGBT people can potentially face reprisals, because if somebody accuses you of promoting homosexuality, whatever that means, it's very vaguely described in the law, then you could also be sent to prison.
And just finally, what's your message to the government?
Well, I mean, first of all, the government shouldn't be legislating hate against anyone based on their sexuality or any other characteristics. So they need to do away with this law. That's what we're calling on the government and the parliament specifically to remove this law. But in the meantime, there needs to be a climate of acceptance and non-discrimination against all people. Nobody should be discriminated against based on their sexuality. And the authorities really need to promote equality in that respect. And so that's what we would really like to see.
Well, we should mention that Human Rights Watch did contact the government to comment on the report, but they didn't respond. Oryem, thank you so much for joining us on the programme. Really great to get your insights on what is a very important topic.